on this week's episode of Good For You.
Friends let friends be the ghoul they wish to see in the world.
Hello and welcome to
Good For You.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Good for you.
Good For You is a podcast about the things we ghosted, the purchases that haunt us, and best products, services, and industry happenings in the wellness, well-being, and spiritual space. We're going to give you a healthy little dose of fun. We're going to talk about the things that are happening in pop culture, the ones that got away, the things in our cart that are haunting us or ghosting us, our strong opinions
that are loosely held. We like to call this the Grex.
The group text.
The group text in your ear. So come say hello. Join us in the audio Grex, where friends don't let friends get scammed.
I feel like we need to start with the Vitamin C graduation song.
So
We remember. Lighters up.
don't forget us. Never.
Ghouls, besties, we hate to break it to you, but this will be the final Good For You for a while.
We're going to give you a nice, long Irish goodbye. This is a longer episode.
Yeah, it's sort of an extended hiatus that we're going on. We are sending Good For You into retirement, sending off with, all the love in our hearts.
All the unexercised carts, the haunted carts that we will leave you with. And there will be more.
There will be more of something.
Just not on this podcast.
Yeah, we have some good stuff for you today, but we just want to thank you for being wonderful, gorgeous, loyal listeners and for being the funnest ghouls that we could ask for.
Yeah, we are going to try and not weep throughout the episode, so don't judge us for not being that funny. We're doing our best.
We're trying to keep it together.
100%. 100 fucking percent.
But we have a great interview today with Emma from ThingTesting. And before we get into that super interesting interview, we want to put a capper on Good For You. It's been running for the last year and a half. We've learned a lot. We've taught you a lot. We've run into so many succeeding scams. We have tried so many products. And now that we are sunsetting Good For You, it's kind of your responsibility. We're passing the torch to you to be ghouls in your community, to be the resource. Create your own Grext, if you will.
Be the ghoul you wish to see in the world.
That's right. That's right. So we have some advice for you as you ghoul in your own community.
So I'm coming to you this morning with some advice, and you can take it or leave it. But as a woman, you're going to want to be good at stuff, and you're going to think it's going to benefit you, but it's not.
Okay, so these are the 6 rules for the ghouls. Number 1, remember, follow the money. Always follow the money when you are thinking about and looking at curious, interesting products and businesses.
Who secured the bag? It matters.
It goes all the way to the top. Who invested?
Yeah.
Who's behind it? Who are they married to? And what stake do they have in the game?
Infiltrate the dealer, find the supply.
That's right.
Secure the bag.
Infiltrate the dealers, find the supply.
We get to be brothers?
Infiltrate the dealers, find the supply.
Do your research. We don't have to tell you twice.
Yeah.
Be suspect.
Do your research, but not in a QAnon way. Do your research in you're looking people up on Crunchbase way, not like, I don't know, you're going down the Dr. Merkel rabbit hole. Okay, number 2. Remember that Instagram and Instagram ads can be very misleading.
Don't be fooled by the gram spam.
That's right.
It's very convincing.
You might think, oh my God, everyone is buying these posture fixing bras. They must be amazing because I'm getting reviews and ads from them all the time. Not so. Look beyond the gram, my friends. Maybe even go to their website. Go on SimilarWeb. See how many people are hopping on their website. Is it a lot? Is it a little? I don't know. That's your job. Figure it out.
Honestly, go to ThingTesting, check out, see if they have some reviews on there. Those will be way better than any reviews you'll find on their site.
Amen. And Reddit. When in doubt, go to Reddit.
Without much further ado, I give you the Derek Zoolander Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good.
Third rule kind of goes hand in hand with that gram spam. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Like the laser hair removal at-home device?
Yeah. Like that magic hair eraser
Still too good to be
thing.
true.
Remember that? That it gave us a rug burn? That was so painful. It did not work.
That was weird.
It was not fun.
The chin hammock, however, that was Gorgeous.
One of the best finds, I would say, that this podcast has given all of us.
I'm sad I don't have one of those on right now.
Me
That's
too.
how we should have ended.
I'm thinking about how I have one in my fridge, and I should go put it on.
Jealous.
Yeah, living a life of luxury over here. Okay, our fourth rule is that it's okay to be scammed by and still buy. Listen, we all fall for scams, and sometimes we even like them. Chin hammock, case in point.
Scams are, what do they say, a dime a dozen over here in the US of A. So, hey, sometimes you must partake. It's okay. Don't have shame.
And on that note, rule number 5, don't underestimate the placebo effect. You know, your wellness house of cards could have a bunch of scam buy but still buys in it. Maybe CMOS makes you feel amazing. Maybe just handing over your credit card at Moon Juice gives you the serotonin boost that you need to get through your day. It has nothing to do with adaptogens or mushrooms or, I don't know, functional beverages. It's all about placebo, and that's okay.
We condone giving yourself little treats.
That leaves us with the last rule, number 6, always be haunting. Always have something in your haunted cart that you're just never, ever going to exercise because you're being conscientious about your consumption and you don't want to overconsume.
Stay spooky, stay haunted, exercise every once in a while.
But not all the way.
Yeah.
You have to keep something like fun, you know? There's always got to be something that you're pining after. And it shouldn't be a person. It should be a pair of pants.
You don't want a haunted house.
No.
You want maybe one room to be haunted.
Yeah, no, it's like a fun little room that you dip into when you need like a little woo to get your blood pressure up.
Little woo.
Yeah. Keep it spicy, you know?
I like that. Always be haunting. Stay spooky. Speaking of always be haunting, today is kind of a full circle, perfect retirement episode for us because ThingTesting was one of the first sites that we bonded over, let's say, revealed our mega consumer habits to each other about.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm making that up, but I feel like it's one of those sites when you're talking to a fellow ghoul, you're like, oh, ThingTesting? Oh, yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
Absolutely. Have I written a review on ThingTesting? Not yet. But do I like to read the reviews? Absolutely.
Yes. Do I love to follow the latest drops and the newsletter? Absolutely. You were following when they were just an Instagram.
Yep. I've been there from the beginning. I followed when the founder, would just take a picture on a white background of a product and then write her review of the product in the caption. And she was a VC. She was an investor. And then she decided to make ThingTesting a full-time thing. And I just thought, wow, that's so cool. And what a fun job. You just get to try products and write about them. Amazing. Live your dream.
So this is extremely full circle to be able to chat with the community and content curator, Emma. One of the things that we talked about after we stopped recording, which we both thought was super interesting, is Facebook groups.
Excuse me, what the actual fuck?
Never thought I was going to say that, did you?
Yep. Facebook groups are back, baby, apparently.
Or maybe they just never went out of style for this clientele.
That's true. Maybe we're going to revert all the way back. Like we've reached peak social media and we're going to revert back to like top 8 on MySpace. I would honestly welcome that. Like
bring MySpace back.
Yeah. Substack now has like notes and other things that you can get. And I'm just like, I hate it so much.
No.
Every time it pops up on my phone, I'm like, I don't understand this. It's just too much information. I already subscribed to your newsletter. I don't want to be on your feed or something. I don't want it.
Oh yeah. The discussion groups.
Yeah. I don't like it.
No, it's too much.
But apparently people do like it because they're really popping up.
How about new?
So what did we talk about with Emma?
Oh gosh, we talked about chairs. We talked about how ThingTesting works. We talked about products that she thinks are overrated and overwrought. We talked about a bunch of sexy, unique scams. And did she say CBD drinks? She sure did. She dropped that in. So she's a ghoul. She's a ghoul through and through, just like us.
Through and through.
So without further ado, here's Emma.
Hi, Emma. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, we're so excited to chat with you.
How long have you been at ThingTesting?
I've been at ThingTesting since June 2021, so I'm coming up on 2 years on June 1st.
Oh, amazing.
Wow. Yeah. And how big is the team right now?
We are 12 people, so we've doubled since I joined.
I remember following ThingTesting when it was just an Instagram. And you would post one thing at a time with the review. It was just the founder reviewing them. And then I remember when she quit her job and was like, I think I'm going to take investment. And I was like, that's so interesting to take venture, right? To build out this platform. And I'm just curious for you, Emma. I know that the space has changed so much, and I would love to look under the hood a little bit about ThingTesting. But from what I understand, CPG and the D2C market was booming when ThingTesting came about, right? And that was kind of the thesis behind it. Let's try these items, these products that we can really only get direct to consumer because we can't go touch and feel them in person. And we can give a more of a consumer friendly perspective on them. But now that things have been changing in D2C, maybe ThingTesting has changed too. What's the new thesis behind ThingTesting?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think when Jenny started, it was, like you said, the big boom of direct to consumer, and she was trying all these products and she was reviewing them from the investor perspective of, would I give this brand money? And then from a consumer perspective of do I think this is worth a consumer buying? And so you got those two different angles, and she built that following up of industry people, general consumers too were really tuning in. And since then, I think, while she was doing this, she started receiving DMs from people being like, hey, can you write a review for XYZ brand? They never posted my review. And so the conversation really shifted when she realized that there was kind of a really big issue in the landscape, and that brands were hiding reviews and consumers weren't able to get the full picture of a product before they purchased it. So there was really nowhere to go online to read those honest reviews. And that's kind of what ThingTesting's thesis is today, is really about being a third party, number one destination that you can go online and you can read real reviews from real people and feel confident in your purchase decisions, because, like we know, there's so many different brands that you can buy, and it's really overwhelming, both as someone in this space and also as just a consumer trying to find a product that you're going to, looks great online and looks great when it arrives at your door. And so that's really what we aim to help consumers with first and foremost.
How do you guys decide which brands make it onto the platform and which don't? What's the criteria?
So every brand is screened, but the main criteria is you have to be a brand selling a physical product with a checkout on site. So we don't allow apps onto the site. There's no, service type of brands allowed onto the platform. I do all of our curation. So that means sort of doing the weekly brand spotted roundup and really finding what are those new or interesting brands that have a really unique story to tell and surfacing those to our community. But yeah, the main baseline criteria is being a physical product with an online shopping cart.
How fun is that?
Yeah,
it
seriously.
Is, honestly, Fridays are my brand spotting day. So sometimes it's I spend an hour, and sometimes I spend 6 hours.
I can imagine.
Looking for brands, because our community spots incredible brands. So anyone with a ThingTesting account can submit brands to the platform.
Oh, nice.
So that's really fun. We have some of our top spotters. There's this one woman, Chloe, who has now spotted over 200 brands that have landed in our directory.
Whoa.
I always joke with her. I'm like, I have to split up your brands that you're spotting into across multiple weeks roundups, because it's the whole thing is spotted by Chloe. Yeah, she could take my job over. It's really fun, honestly.
Where do you look for brands when you're doing your research? Are you on sort of trolling Crunchbase and TechCrunch looking for who's recently got a seed round? Where do you go?
So I'm really into homeware brands, and right now I'm super into niche candle brands and soap brands, oddly. So I spend a lot of time on Instagram looking through who other brands that I admire, who they're following on Instagram, who people that I think have incredible taste, who they're following. So it's definitely very much in the weeds of the internet. I admittedly don't spend that much time on Crunchbase. For me, I think there's obviously a lot of direct to consumer, true, that sort of brand. But I'm very much interested in the emerging small brands and how can we amplify what they're doing.
Love that.
How do you guys deal with a brand that gets a ton of bad reviews. I haven't seen a ton of brands on ThingTesting following you guys for a long time that have consistently bad reviews. So I think that obviously speaks to how you guys are curating, but what would the process be if that's something you're noticing? Do you keep the brand on the platform?
We don't curate the reviews that are on ThingTesting.
Right.
There's no curation on our end. So from a consumer perspective of like, how do you get verified to become a reviewer is you have to have a unique phone number and a unique email address. And you also have to have a profile photo because we think that's what, is the baseline for trust.
Totally.
And so if a brand does, continuously receive bad reviews on their ThingTesting page, and it has happened on ThingTesting, we don't side with either side. So We're kind of like a forum where you can leave your review, but we're not going to take it down. Mm-hmm. It's like you can get into these like he said, she said situations of like the brand being like, this happened, and the consumer being like, this happened. And we have community guidelines that we do, take very seriously as far as like moderation goes, in the form of, you're not allowed to like go on there and, swearing and bashing a brand. We never want it to be a place where anyone feels like they're just being bullied on the internet. There's so much of that going on other places, and we don't need ThingTesting to be a place for that. But, if people are just giving constructive criticism and that's what's happened, then we leave the reviews up. Yeah.
How many members are part of the ThingTesting community right now?
I can give you, our newsletter has 55,000 plus subscribers at the moment, and the reviewer community is growing every day. We did just pass 10 million.
What?
Reviews have now been read 10 million times on ThingTesting, and it's really exciting, I think, to have been here since kind of we launched reviews.
Yeah. Very cool. I know that you're, on a personal level, also interested in the homeware space. Your apartment was recently published in Architectural Digest and Clever, which was so cool. I'm kind of curious, from your personal interest in that space, if there's anything you've noticed having shifted since the pandemic with supply chain issues, and anything in terms of trends you're noticing with those businesses and homeware specifically.
Yeah, I think since COVID, people are spending a lot more time at home.
Mm-hmm.
I work from home every day. A lot of people work from home. And so people care a lot more about what their home looks like, I think more so than ever before. I remember during COVID, when everything shifted to online, I could not buy a desk. Everyone in the world wanted a desk, and I was working from my couch. It was like the most novel thing ever when you could finally purchase a desk and a desk chair. And so I think there's a lot of brands that are really trying to lean into that home space. And so there's continuously a lot of brands just launching in that category. So yeah, we've definitely seen our audience be very excited about that category. We've recently launched custom lists on ThingTesting.
Oh, nice.
So anyone can create a custom list, and those are some of like our highest performing lists, are the people that are curating sort of in that home category, especially sort of seeing people like, there's a big milestone moment when you graduate school and you get your first apartment, and there's a lot more options now, which again is why, ThingTesting exists, is to help you sort through those different options. But people, I think, have a lot more options, and there's a lot more like accessible, affordable options now, which I think is really, really great. My whole apartment when I was in college was IKEA, which I still am a huge IKEA stan.
Same.
But I think, there's just like so many more places that you can go to shop now.
Yeah, that curation makes so much sense. A lot of what we talk about here is consumer behavior, not only our own, but I'm curious in general if there's any other spaces that you feel are ripe for disruption or innovation that you've noticed. There's a bit of a white space there where you're like, oh, I'm just waiting for this to come out so we can feature it on ThingTesting.
There's definitely a lot of categories that have maybe been overly disrupted, I think, at this point.
Yeah, like how much more kitchen, like colored kitchen stuff do we need? Like, I don't need another pan that's hot pink. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think there's the kitchen space is crazy. I'm honestly, even though I work in this space, like I'm looking at my kitchen right now, very little of my kitchen brands are direct to consumer. Like I have a Ninja blender. Like I have a Beast blender and I honestly don't reach for it. And not because there's anything wrong with it. It's just the Ninja blender just is always on my counter, which is, I know the Beast was made to like sit on your counter. It's bulky. It's a bigger blender, and I'm like one person making a smoothie.
Okay, so kitchen,
we've disrupted.
Don't even think about it. If you're thinking of starting a kitchen thing, we're good.
If you're starting a kitchen thing and it's amazing, you might get me. I just got a Alessi tea kettle and an Alessi toaster.
Okay. Please tell me, is the tea kettle worth it? Because I
Incredible. And so I got the electric tea kettle, the one that but it's that like plissé one that's just like stunning on the counter. I got the toaster in gray and the tea kettle in white. And I've never been like an electric tea kettle person, but all my friends were making fun of me because I was like boiling water on the stove to make tea, and they were like, "Are you okay?" So I did get one, and it has changed my life. You know, I did just see a goggle brand, and I'm not a swimmer, which we're going to get into because it is also my haunted cart section is swimming materials.
Nice.
There is this goggle brand that recently launched that I put in my brand spotted that basically has like screens in it that you can see your timing. You can see like it tracks all these different metrics while you're swimming. And I do think that like the summer fun category could be a place in which people could start playing around in. I think like I would love to see more like outdoor activities that are like we obviously have the REI stores of the world, but those aren't really, you know, the aesthetic design spots.
An updated slip and slide, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. We have seen a few, you know, we have like, there's like Fun Boy is that brand that makes those crazy pool floats.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a swimming pool, like what are you doing with that?
We need like more lawn games and stuff like that.
Lawn games, like there was a cool brand that launched, I think it was last summer, maybe the summer before, called like ITA Leisure. And they made these really chic lounge chairs, like kind of just like the classic beach chair. And those were really great to see, but I think there could be some more design elements too.
You know what? That's a really good point, because we went to the park this weekend because I live in LA. It was really nice. I was like, dang, all my stuff to bring to the park is like kind of schlubby. You know, it's like a mishmash, weird combination of things. And I was like, I just want like a gorgeous, gorgeous set of things.
Right, like maybe like a new picnic basket. I don't like, someone's got to bring it back.
Yeah.
Cute blanket, easy to unfold stools and chairs that are not super heavy.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard. I'm not going to do it, but someone else should do it.
Yeah. We all say from the sidelines, it's not that hard. Come on, just launch it.
Exactly.
Launch the brand.
Yeah, stop doing CBD beverages and like let's do something to sit on while we drink it.
There you go. Speaking of chairs, though, you had mentioned that you are getting to chair design yourself. Can you tell us more about this? Is this a new venture?
It is a new venture. During COVID, I had a Instagram collection this was like when Instagram collections, like saved collections had just launched on Instagram, I think, or recently had launched. And I started one called like Sitting at Home. And it was just chairs that I wanted to sit on while I was quite literally sitting at home. And it grew into this like massive collection, and Instagram basically was like, you have too many things in this collection. And I was like,
there was a limit.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, maybe I should do something with this. And so I made this Instagram account. It's at sitting.athome. And I started just posting chairs, like curated chairs on, you know, blank backgrounds that I had found online. And it was really cool for me because it was a place to like learn about things too. So like I needed to do the research in order to post about them. Like I didn't just want to be like, love this. I wanted to say like who the designer was, what the chair was called, when it was made. And so I just started doing that. And I think part of it is because I do work with a lot of brands, and you know, there's a lot of founders who know so much about the space that they're in, and it's really inspiring. And I was like, okay, I'm like cosplaying as this like chair curator, but let's see what you can do, Emma. Like, let's build a chair. And so I made it my goal for 2023 to build one chair. and I'm looking over. My chair is complete now. It is sit-inable. You can sit on it, and so I worked with a local wood shop, and I built it from start to finish, like with my own hands.
Oh my gosh.
Not an artist. I always say I'm not an artist, but I guess now I kind of am. But, you know, like I was on a plane ride home from New York in, I think it was January or something. And I was like, all right, before I get off this flight, I have to have the sketch done. Cause like I could see it in my head, but I couldn't get it onto paper. And I was like, what else do you do on a plane? So there's like this new app on the phone called Form or something. And I just like hand drew it out. And I was like, this is the chair. Like, this is what it's going to be. It's plywood. It's double thick plywood. The sides are like rectangles, rounded edges. The seat is the same. And then the back of it is flower shape, which again, as someone who's not an artist, I picked a very tricky thing to try to make, but it came out great and very happy with it. And hopefully we'll be building some more chairs.
It's so cute. I'm looking at it right now. My husband, Emma, is a big chair guy. He's always been a big chair guy. And when I met him, I was like, that's weird. But now I have a deep appreciation for all types of chairs. He's always pointing out like, that's a famous chair. That's a famous chair. And I'm like, wow, I had no idea. I just thought these were at my dentist's office, but here you go. They're actually famous. Incredible. So, okay. We've talked a little bit about maybe the spaces that are a bit bloated, but we do something here at Good For You called Sexy Unique Scam. Do you have a Sexy Unique Scam up your sleeve, Emma?
Yes, I do.
I love the pause.
Yeah. Well, I kind of have a couple.
Yes. We love to hear it.
They've done studies, 60% of the time it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
So I think the main one for me is honestly around kind of like adaptogens and functional mushrooms and that whole category. I think it's just, and I'm not saying it doesn't work. Like, I'm just saying it's really confusing for consumers. And there's a lot of jargon.
There's a lot of jargon.
Especially in the functional mushroom space. Like, there's a lot of conversation around the confusion between like psychedelics and functional mushrooms. And I remember I started taking reishi because my dermatologist actually told me it was good for your skin. And it's cleared up my skin quite a bit. So, side note there. But when I was telling my mom, I was like, yeah, I'm going to start taking mushrooms for my skin. And she was like, what? What do you mean? Like, you're going to take magic mushrooms for your skin? Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, not that. I'm going to take functional mushrooms. They're from the earth. I mean, I guess so are psychedelics. But anyway, different conversation, Mom. Yeah. There's a lot of brands launching in this space. And I think it's great. I think brands having conversations around mental health and alternative forms of medicine is awesome. But for the consumer, it's just confusing. And there's not enough education about it. And it's a difficult space to navigate, I think, as far as like, this is mood boosting. This is focus improvement. And where do you fall? And also, how do you know if it's working is a really big question. And I think it's the same with like supplement brands too. And that's something that, even on ThingTesting, like, it's hard to find people or to get reviews on those products. And it's so different for everyone. And unless you're kind of doing like, blood work before you start taking something like that and then checking in on it, there's really no way to know, I think, if it's working. Right. And I've had that experience myself. And so that would be my first one. And I think, I've been scammed by it. I've fallen for it, like you said in the question there. And so one of the ones that I definitely fell for is like Ritual, which I actually think I fell for it. And honestly, I'm not mad about it. Like, that is one that I'm not mad I fell for.
They're so pretty. The pills are so pretty.
I mean, the pills are beautiful. They also have this like little plastic or like rubber bar in it that's like mint scented. And so they taste like minty. Which I have I have a hard time with supplements that taste gross. Also like powder, like I can't do drink powders. The taste is just I'd rather just eat a bowl of lettuce. Definitely. And so with Ritual though, like I started doing, I think for me, the problem is honestly, I'm not very consistent with most things that I do. So it was like suddenly I had like 2 unopened bottles of this thing and I was like, all right, I got to cancel the subscription. However, if I were to again commit to a daily multivitamin, I think I'd go back to it.
I mean, the immediate effect of not wanting to throw up after you take them, that matters.
It does. So that one I feel like got scammed, but it's also available at Target now, I saw yesterday, which could be maybe a good option for me as well. So I'm not, hoarding subscriptions.
They're not just taunting you on your shelf.
On that note, subscription products.
Yes, I feel like my new question is, are there any subscriptions that you really stand by that you have right now in beauty products specifically?
I'm not on any subscriptions. And the reason I'm actually not is I think I'm someone that it takes me a while to get through products. I am not I use it, I use the same face wash every single day, but it could take me months to get through it. And so I think these subscription products is you have to be real with yourself of am I going to get through this in the time that they're allotting me to use it? And maybe if you're sharing it with someone else that you live with, it makes sense to be on the subscription. But I just find that I use products a lot slower than these subscriptions are made for. And so then, even the ritual that you're supposed to be taking every day, I ended up with 2 leftover bottles. So I think they're just made for certain people. And it's obviously the convenience of it is great.
Yeah.
But being real about just am I actually going to use this product? Because as it is, I have so many products in my house and I don't need more things that are things that I like to use, but I don't need to stock up on them.
Yeah, that's my sneaking suspicion about a lot of these subscriptions, that model's not working unless people forget it. And, they get a few months out of you where you're whoops, didn't cancel that, which is so sad.
On the consumer side, it just makes me angry when I get something for example, I used to get mud water and I would get a new tin in the mail and be fuck. Didn't use the last one. And I would get so mad because I'd forget to cancel. And then now I'm so turned off from the whole brand because I have so much shame around, I don't know, hoarding 4 canisters of mud water in my pantry. I enjoy the product, but I have this negative connotation with it because I'm ugh, I have so much of it. It's weird.
Yeah. So we just did a Thing Drop, which I don't know if you're familiar with the program, but I can explain it a bit. But we just did a partnership with Jolie, the showerhead brand. And Thing Drop is a product testing program that we have. We partner with new brands or brands that are launching a new product or their hero SKU to offer it at up to 70% off to our community in exchange for a review. And so Jolie did a partnership with us, which was awesome. The showerhead sells for $165 retail. They did it for $20 and they donated all of the profit to a charity. So that was really cool. But someone on ThingTesting had written, we have a long form review program kind of, which is through our editorial platform. And someone wrote in their long form review for Jolie kind of about the subscription model and saying, how do you know if you've used the filter, up? And the filters come on, I think it's maybe a monthly or bi-monthly basis. And he just talked about, I'm the only person using the shower head. So how does it work if you're a family of 4 or a family of 6? To the same point around subscriptions is it's really hard to know if you are ready for the next thing. And I think for brands, it's obviously how they get you hooked and it's a great model for brands. But on the consumer side, it's definitely something to be weary of and think about.
I always think about that with Glossier because I think that was part of their selling point is that they make products that we need to refresh often, right? And meanwhile, I have their cloud blush. I've had the same 3 blushes from them for 5 years because there's so much cloud paint in that thing. How could I possibly get through it? I will never need to re-up on it. And I think about that all the time of wow, I think brands often overestimate how much we're using of their product and how often we're going to need to rebuy it, and especially direct to consumer brands.
More sexy unique scams?
Yeah, I think the one in general, honestly, is really just about brands and the reviews on their platforms. And I think in general, the statistic is 89% of people read reviews online before they make a purchase. And on brand websites, reviews can be hidden, reviews can be cherry picked, they can be paid for. And so as a consumer, you're not getting that full view. And so it's really hard to make a decision about what you're going to buy. And the example I always give to people is like, if you're going out to dinner and you're making a reservation, you're never going to read restaurant reviews on a restaurant's website, right? Like that just wouldn't happen. You'd go on Yelp or you'd Google reviews of X restaurant and you'd find like a blog post about it maybe, or you'd go on like Infatuation probably. When it comes to brands though, we read reviews all day, all night on brands' websites, and the same thing can happen there as the curation of reviews. And so really just like urging people to read reviews that are actually trustworthy. And I totally feel for the feeling of like, how do you know? And so that is truly like the number one reason that ThingTesting ultimately exists, is to be that place for people to read real reviews and feel confident when they're buying something. And, you know, when it shows up at the door, not being like, oh, is this going to work? Or being like, yeah, I read reviews of it and, you know, 96% of people on ThingTesting recommended it, so I'm going to buy it. And so that one's a really big one, honestly. And it happens across all categories. And it's very easy for brands to do it on their own platforms. There's review plugins that some of their biggest selling points are around that. So it's definitely something for consumers to be aware of.
And that happens on Amazon too, right? Like a brand can, I don't know, hire a bunch of people to write fake reviews.
Yeah, on Amazon. And also, you know, like with even on like Sephora. On Sephora, you can write a review for a product that you're not a verified purchaser of. And this is not to say, I mean, on ThingTesting, you don't have to be, you know, we don't have a way of verifying purchases because the purchase doesn't come through ThingTesting. But Sephora, you know, could very easily put in that barrier of you have to have been a verified purchaser. And they don't, because brands rely on those reviews on their Sephora pages. And if, you know, for a brand to launch on Sephora, they actually need to get a certain number of reviews before their launch. And so people are, you know, they ask their community to go on, or they ask their friends, or they ask whoever to go on and leave them a good review. And it's very easy for them to incentivize it to be a good review. And so, you know, if I'm going on Sephora just to look at a product, I have no idea that this had happened.
How do you guys safeguard against that? Like when a new brand launches on ThingTesting, that people aren't sending like a beehive of their fans to.
Yeah. I mean, we are all about brands having their community review them on ThingTesting. Again, we're not the point of purchase. And so having your community review you is awesome. Like that, your community should be reviewing you. However, if it's, you know, an investor or someone who's a friend of the brand, so anyone that really can have like that implicit bias or not implicit bias and is like has stake in the success of the company, we do ask that those people tag their affiliation. It's a very simple question at the end of the review form right before you click submit. And it's like, do you have an affiliation to this brand? And it's like employee, friend, investor, influencer, or you can write your own in if it's something else. And so we do have moderation tools. We have an AI detector that kind of, you know, scrapes reviews also. And if you have the brand's website in your email address, that's going to get flagged if you haven't tagged your affiliation. And the moderation is taken very seriously around those instances because, from the consumer perspective, trust is the most important thing that ThingTesting has. And trust is like the easiest thing to lose in this entire landscape. And so it's taken very seriously. Yeah.
It's so tough. I could imagine, like not only in ThingTesting's position too, the incentives are so often muddied together in terms of how anyone makes money in this space, whether it's affiliate revenue or editorial partnerships. It's really tough to figure out your model and also be unbiased. So I know that that's kind of a puzzle that you guys have really tried to make sure that you're at least upfront about. How do you distinguish yourselves, let's say, from a strategist, a wire cutter? You know, how would you say you're the same or different?
ThingTesting operates with no affiliate links, so that means that we make no revenue off of the click-throughs to brand sites.
I was wondering about that. So is that what's kind of the model? Because I'm sure you guys track that no matter what.
Yeah, we do track it, and brands also, you know, have come to us before and been like, hey, you were our top referrer on our launch week. And that's great to hear because even though we do side with the consumer on reviews, like ThingTesting exists because we want people to buy things that they're excited about and we want brands to do well, and we're not here to take down brands. And so, we do track it, but that's not a revenue model for us. I think that would go against the integrity of ThingTesting because once you bring affiliate links in, you're going to want to highlight the brand that you think is going to make you that money. And that's not what we're here for.
Yeah, the incentives just become misaligned.
And so on the ThingTesting side, our rev model is our brand reputation management on ThingTesting. So not paying to delete reviews, but being able to interact with the reviewers on your page. And so being able to reply to reviews is part of that. Being able to receive private feedback is part of that. Being able to access our Thing Drop program is now bucketed in that. And so anything that really is a place to further engage with the ThingTesting community or help your community engage on ThingTesting. So, review invites. So we'll send out on behalf of our pro subscribers invites to their community to come and review that specific brand on ThingTesting. And then those are also the verified purchases that happen and are reviewed on ThingTesting.
It gets so tricky, right, with affiliate stuff and when people are paying you, when brands are paying you also to be honest and to kind of remain copacetic with both the brand partners and with your audience who really trusts you to curate for them. That can be hard to remain transparent,
It's tough. Our sales are kept very separate from anything to do with editorial decision, which I think is so important. So I really oversee how do we surface the best things or the most interesting things or the most exciting things to our community. And sales is kind of a separate arm. And that really helps us to kind of balance the two, but it's definitely not easy to balance the two, especially when you are a business that needs to make money.
Well, I mean, on that note, we've gone from Sex Unique scams. I'm dying to know, since you're the brand wizard, what is in your haunted cart?
Haunted cart.
How long is your haunted cart list? Are you an impulse buyer?
Do you get a lot of free products? How many?
Tell us kind of your buying archetype or persona.
So for me, I will say I think I see so many brands that it's honestly overwhelming, and I don't buy that many products at this point. I think when I first started working for ThingTesting, I was always a brand girl. I remember in high school being obsessed with Glossier, and I was a social media ambassador for 17 magazine when I was in high school, and this was the start of influencing. And I wasn't making money off it, but they would send me Neutrogena products in the mail to post about on my Instagram. And so to see how the landscape has changed is just crazy. And I do accept free products. It's not I accept every single thing that people want to send me. I honestly will the allure of the whole free product thing has changed for me only because my closet is full of things at this point. And I'm okay, practice what I preach. I do not need all of these things. And so unless it's something that I genuinely am you know what, I'm going to use that. And I would have bought it anyways.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not take it for free? And, I still leave my honest review of it. It's not a brand sent me something, so I'm going to be this is the best thing I ever received. If it's not the best thing I ever received, it might not be. And that's, I think, okay. And I think brands understand what ThingTesting is about if they're sending us products.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'll say on the free product side. As far as things that are haunting me on the internet at the moment, I'm a huge Essence girl. The
same.
Essence sale, it's 300 pages long when it's up, and I scroll all 300 pages.
I want an Essence curated sale list from you. I will.
Oh
I'm
my God.
I will pay money for that.
So I will tip you off to, there's this woman in New York, Laura Riley, who has this amazing newsletter called Magazine, which is I think it means shop in French. And she does, it's basically the best of online shopping every single week.
Wait, is it a Substack?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I actually just subscribed to this recently.
She's awesome. She did a feature on ThingTesting last year and spotted amazing brands for us, of course. And she does roundups of the Essence sale though when it's live. So there's not a specific thing haunting actually my Essence cart.
Yeah, it's just the ghost of
Essence in general. The Ghost of Essence.
The Ghost of Essence. But now I can't buy anything full price there ever.
Yep.
No, because I'm always like, it's going to go on sale. But yeah, I think specific things that are haunting me, back to the swimming thing, again, not a swimmer, but there's this brand called Yucca Fins out of
Costa Mesa. Yeah, Orange County.
Yeah. And they make these like tie-dye swimming fins, like for your feet, flippers. And I want a pair so badly. I have absolutely no purpose for them. I do live in Miami, so like I could swim, but I don't.
Lots of pools.
Lots of pools. Yeah. I think people would be like, what is happening if I like whipped those out at the Soho House?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I spotted them sometime last year, put them on a brand spotted list for ThingTesting, and was like, I need these.
Welcome, valued customer.
What else? I mean, I always see Quip toothbrushes, and I'm a disposable toothbrush purchaser. Probably should not say that aloud.
Not an electric toothbrush.
I'm just like a manual girl. Like, I don't know. I just get overwhelmed in that category. Like, I go into Target, I like buy my one toothbrush, and I don't want to spend time in that aisle. There's too much going on.
We all have areas of simplicity, you know?
Yeah, and mine is like oral care. Although I did get a water pick.
Is it like good on your counter? Because water picks traditionally were kind of bulky.
It's not cute.
But you know what is cute? Healthy gums.
Yeah, you know what is cute? Healthy gums. No, so I did see Quip did launch a water pick type product as well. But I don't know. I just feel like stick with the classics on that.
Yeah. One thing that has haunted me, speaking of flossing, is like a reusable flosser. Etsy has some really nice ones where you just like wrap the floss into, they come in all different materials, but like plastic, wood, metal. And it's just like you hook it instead of having to buy the reusable things.
Interesting.
Seems like a worthwhile purchase.
You know, I have bottom and top retainers. So Floss and I have a really tough time together.
Me too. That's why the water pick is the way.
If only Alessi made a water pick.
That's what we need.
Call them.
Get Alessi on the phone right now.
I have to make them for us right now.
And you know, theirs would be like so whimsical too. It would be like very playful.
If Dyson made a water pick, I think also a lot of people would start flossing.
That's the movement.
Let's be a pivot. I recently saw that Dr. Bronner's has chocolate. Do you know this, Emma?
Yes.
It's so good.
I did see that because I went to put it on ThingTesting, and I was like, it kept saying that this brand already existed. And I was like, no, it doesn't. And then I was like,
not in this form.
It does.
Yes. It's actually really good. Yeah. And they even have a peppermint flavor, which looks like the same branding as their peppermint soap. I'm kind of into brands doing like wacky things, like going from cleaning supplies to chocolate.
So am I.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
Get your bag. That sounds awesome.
I think it's slightly, again, confusing for the consumer. But if you can do both and you do it well, then I'm all for it. But if you're going to do it, like, you got to do it right.
Amen. Emma, this was so lovely to have you on. We got so many good recs, so many good sexy, unique scams to watch out for. How can people keep up with you personally and also with ThingTesting?
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow me on my Instagram, which is at emcho41, EMCHO41. Trying to drop the 41 if you know anyone at Instagram. Yeah, that's kind of like where I hang out mostly. I am on Twitter as well at the same handle, but I'm not as good on there. And ThingTesting, you can follow us on all social platforms at ThingTesting or make a ThingTesting profile. It's free.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emma. This was so fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you made it to the end of this episode. Guys, that's all for now.
For now.
Who knows?
Ellipsis.
Exactly. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for bringing your energy and your haunted carts and the stuff that you're obsessed with. We appreciate you. Keep looking out for sexy, unique scams. Keep creating a haunted cart. Keep your wellness house of cards close to your chest, you know?
Keep questioning, who is this good for?
That's right. Exactly. Good for who?
Good for who, man?
Good for you.
Good for you? Good for who? Good for you?
Hopefully this podcast has been good for you. All we do for you. We made this. out of pure fun and love, and it's been so, so much fun, and we couldn't have continued making this without your wonderful support and ear holes, and we thank you from the bottom of our most haunted carts.
Amen. Thank you. We love you. Have a great summer.
Don't change.
Or do. Have a good life. See you never.
You aren't going to say goodbye?
It's never goodbye.
Can I do one more haunted cart to take us out?
Of course.
Haunted cart.
Love it. Perfect. Haunted cart.
Haunted cart.
Good For You is produced by yours truly, Wallace Miller Blanchard. Our theme song is by Parallel Dance Ensemble, and our wonderful editing is done by Softer Sound Studio, who you can find more information about at the link in our show notes.